Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast. It's your host, Jeff Farrell, here with my co-host, Andrew Tanzi, coming at you to break down everything you need to know to lock in all your NFL bets for Week 11. We're going to do a little Week 10 recap here, go over our bets, give our heroes and zeros of the week, and then we will break down each and every game of Week 11 like we always do, give out our favorite bets and player props along the way. We'll close the show with our long shot, best bets, and everyone's favorite, the Chalk Donkey Parlay. Rue, how did Week 10 treat you in the NFL?
Well, it was better than Week 9. I can say that for sure. Week 9.
Hard to be worse.
Yeah, it was definitely hard to be worse. It was still a pretty middling week when I factor in Thursday night football. I came out positive on Sunday, but all said and done, it was up a little bit. But, again, it's a long grind. So any small profit you can turn each week is a win. So, and again, it was just nice to be back in the green after Week 9.
Yeah, I think I was the same way. I think I absolutely smashed on Sunday, and then I gave back almost all of that profit in the two primetime games on Thursday and Monday. So small profit for me, but if I did not bet primetime football, I'd be in a much better spot. Our recap, let's go debate of the week. Rue, this was the most lopsided debate I think we have ever had. I had the Cardinals minus 10.5, and I think the game was over within like the first quarter. The Panthers won like $1 billion to nothing, so nice win.
Yeah, easy, no sweat. And I'm mad at myself because I was, right before the games, I'm like, man, I really think the Panthers can win this game. I wanted to bet their money line. I ended up not doing it, but, a little bet regret there, but no big deal.
Yeah, so you moved to 4-3 on your debates. I will go to 3-4. Favorite bets of the week. You had a nice winner with the New Orleans Saints. We had to sweat this one out big time.
No, I didn't. Didn't I have a teaser? No, I had a teaser. It was the Ravens and the Saints teaser, so I lost.
You idiot! You should have just taken the Saints plus 3.
Apparently,
tried to give you credit, but you didn't take it.
I'm not gonna lie on here. I know what my favorite bet was.
All right, you knew the Saints were, but I thought. Okay, yeah.
But we'll have to rerun the tape, but I could have swore it was
because I know you had Saints and Patriots as your money line parlay for the long shot. I guess maybe the Saints in both. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, your favorite bet of the week loses, I guess. Mine also lost. I had the Rams team total over 26.5. I should probably refrain from betting primetime games. Very frustrating. Long shots of the week. You, like we just said, Patriots and Saints moneyline parlay. Patriots were a huge winner. Saints could have won the game, could have forced overtime. Unfortunately, the refs and the Titans had other ideas. You moved to 2-7 in your long shots. Got to work on that. I took a loss on Thursday Night Football. I had Lamar and Hollywood over yards and the Ravens money line. Yikes. Prop sheet went 6-5 on the week, 62-31 overall. Another up and down week in the prop streets. Churned out probably a small profit, but it was a little bit frustrating. Not exactly where we want to be, so more work to do there. And then the Chalk Donkey Parlay lost again. Thank you, Baltimore Ravens, on Thursday night.
I wish we got the Adrian Peterson play on the prop sheet late, like 12:30 on Sunday. I saw that.
The under rush yards?
Under rush. I had under rush yards and under rush attempts. I heard somewhere that Deontay Foreman was going to
easy for you to say.
Probably get a majority of the carries, or at least, split carries 50-50, which ended up being the case. So those were two easy wins there. But, sometimes stuff comes up late. We don't have time to get it on.
Yeah, the prop sheet was finalized by then. All right, let's do our heroes and zeros of the week, and then we can wrap up week number 10. I will send it over to you for your hero of the week.
Yeah, for as much as we've crapped on this guy and on this team all season, I got to give it to him when they perform. Patrick Mahomes, it seemed like everyone was on the Raiders this week as an underdog. I backed the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes came through for me, 400 yards, 5 touchdown passes, looking like the Patrick Mahomes we have all come to know. So got to give it to him. Patrick Mahomes, my hero of the week.
All right, my hero of the week, I'm going to go Dan the Man Campbell and the Detroit Lions. I think this game was almost so bad that it was good. It was no one could score. No one could move the ball. Mason Rudolph was atrocious. The Lions, I think they ran the ball in like every play of the game. Could have won the game several times, could have lost the game several times, but I had a ton on them at +6. Also had the under in the game. So those were 2 huge wins for me. Thank you, Dan Campbell and the Detroit Lions.
All right.
Covering against the Steelers. All right, let's go zero of the week. Who do you have?
Oh, this is easy. It's Russell Wilson. Like, if you're not ready to come back, then don't come back. You come back and lay an absolute egg, and then have the audacity to say after the game that they didn't play that bad. It was just a couple missed plays here and there. Like, absolute. They couldn't. I 2 teasers riding on them at 9.5. It was 3-0 midway through the fourth quarter. They end up not even be able to cover that. Absolute disaster of a performance by Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. So Russell Wilson, my 0 of the week.
My 0s of the week are going to be the 2 primetime games. Absolutely horrible. I feel like the Baltimore Ravens game happened like a century ago, but I just what they did on Thursday night against the Dolphins and the game plan that they had and the lack of adjustments was straight up embarrassing. Then the Rams come out on Sunday or Monday Night Football and try and one up them. They can't catch a pass to save their life. Stafford's throwing more pick sixes. Like, no one's on the same page. Just total meltdowns from both teams. They were both very unfortunate, and just the fact that they're island games, there's nothing else on. You're forced to watch every single play of this game where you're on the opposite side and just getting your face stomped in repeatedly. It just, it's such a painful week. So
what did I say last week? I said the
What?
49ers are going to win this game, and I didn't bet it. I said I wasn't betting it, but this is a spot the 49ers are going to win.
Should have bet it.
And you scoffed at me. And here we
that
are.
was it. I didn't bet the Rams spread. I didn't even want to, like, I was fine with the 49ers winning. I bet the over. I bet the Rams team total. I bet Stafford passing. Like, how did the over not hit in that game? It was like
You knew so many of the props were in trouble after the 49ers had that 11-minute drive. It just killed. Like, that could have taken away, that could have been the difference between Stafford hitting the over on his passing yard, because he was 40 yards short. Like, that took away a drive or two from the Rams. So,
but then they had the pick six. They got an extra drive. It didn't matter. They couldn't stay on the field. There was like 3 third downs in a row where they had to drop pass on every single one. Just punt the ball. It was brutal. All right. Anything left to say on week 10 before we spin it forward to week 11?
No, let's do it.
All right, Thursday Night Football. We have the New England Patriots traveling down to play the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons are 7-point home dogs. Over under is 47 here. Some injury news for running backs on both sides. Cordero Patterson is questionable. I'm honestly going to be shocked if he plays, but I do keep hearing reports that he's not ruled out yet. He's going to be a game time decision, but he's got an ankle injury, so it seems unlikely. And then it does sound like Damian Harris cleared concussion protocol today. So that's probably just a total pass on the whole Patriots backfield. Obviously, Ramondre Stevenson was awesome last week, getting 100 yards. I don't know what to make of that timeshare. I wouldn't touch it either way. Maybe you could look at a Damian Harris under if you're confident Stevenson plays a lot, but for me, that's a pass. What do you have on the game here? Do you have a play on the side or total?
Yeah, so like the plays the Falcons for me, you're playing the spot there. It's rookie QB, short week on the road. Falcons coming off a terrible performance after playing good football before that. They've been competitive for most of the year.
Yeah.
Look, I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons won this game, but yet I can't get there to even take their spread, because it's just, I've seen both sides of this Falcons team where it's, last week and we saw them against the Eagles early in the season where it was an absolute blowout, and then we've seen them play tight games. So I feel like there's just, you don't know what you're going to get with this Falcons team. And, I'll say right now, one of the bets I have is Kyle Pitts under. So if we're under the assumption that Kyle Pitts is going to be taken out of this game, like we see Belichick do with all teams' number one weapons, what does that leave us with? Russell Gage. If Cordero Patterson plays, he's on a hobbled ankle on a short week, so I don't think he'll be very effective. So there's just no weapons on this Falcons team that what are you relying on here if you're taking the Falcons? But if I'm taking a side on the spread, I am taking the Falcons, but I don't have anything on it right now.
Yeah, I'm there with the Falcons. I'm taking them +7. I'm going to wait, and I think once Cordero Patterson gets ruled out and on game day, we could see some more steam on the Patriots. I don't think anyone wants to bet the Falcons here. I would gladly take them at +7. I'm going to wait it out and see if I can get a +7.5. And then this kind of goes against the Falcons bet, but I also really like the Falcons team total under 20.5.
What?
What?
You're taking their spread and the team total under?
I think it's going to be a low score. I don't think the Patriots.
What a terrible
I don't think the Patriots are scoring 27 points here. I think
you're talking about your lack of success in primetime games, and you come out and bet like 2 contradicting bets this week.
I think they both, but I'm expecting a low scoring game. Like, it's a 7-point spread. They can win 24-20, 23-17. Like, that's all fine. I think
we expected an under game last week for the Patriots. And how did that work?
Well, that was the Browns. All right. Whatever. I don't know what you want from me. I like the Falcons team total under, and I like them to cover the spread. I don't know what else you want me to say.
I don't have any words for that strategy, but props, like I said, I'm on Kyle Pitts under. I got him at 69.5 when it first came out. They ended up taking the line down and reposting it at 61, 63, somewhere around there. I don't know if I would still play it there. I don't know about you. 69.5 was higher than I expect. He's only gone over that total twice this year. You got to play the Belichick narrative where he's going to take away their number one weapon, which is Kyle Pitts. You're going to see a lot of bracket coverage, probably safety over top of them, make sure no big plays for them. Patriots are the best team in the league against tight ends, and if they split them out at receiver, they're top 5 against wide receiver ones. They're top 10 against the pass. So love Kyle Pitts under in the spot. And that's all I have in this game from a prop perspective.
Agree with everything you said there. I'm on the Pitts under. I think it's okay at like 64.5. That's probably the last number I would play it at. I have 3 more props in this game. One of them is not posted yet. 2 of them are. I'm going to be looking at Mike Davis unders if Cordero Patterson sits. I think this is a really good opportunity here. Wayne Gallman got 15 carries last week. Some of them were in garbage time, but he actually played in the first quarter of the game when it was still a 1-score game. I think the Falcons are finally starting to realize that Mike Davis is literally the worst running back in football. He's averaging
awful. Just
3.3 yards per carry, which is dead last. Davis only saw 4 carries last week. I had his under rushing plus receiving yards in the 50s. I think we may even see a number around there if Patterson sits. So I'm going to be looking at Mike Davis unders, and then I like both quarterbacks under rushing yards. Matt Ryan's line, I mean, this is my specialty. What do you want from me? Matt Ryan's line is 3.5. He has only gone over this total once in the last 5 games. He is 15-10 to the under in the last 2 years. So you're talking about a 67% hit rate on the -110 spread. Give me the under there. And then give me Mac Jones under 4.5 rush yards. Under this number in 7 of his last 10 games, 70% hit rate. And there's also a big potential for kneel downs for Mac Jones if you think the Patriots are going to have control of this game. A lot of unders.
I thought you were going to give me Alabama. Mac Jones only rushed for this many yards.
Nah, I didn't look at the -75 rushing yards at Alabama. This is strictly NFL numbers for Mac Jones.
All right.
There is also a 100% profit boost available on DraftKings right now for this game. So if you're on there, make sure you use that max bet of $50. You can turn a prop into some pretty good plus odds if you use that odds boost. So
yes.
Anything left to say?
Nope.
All right, let's go to Ravens and Bears here. Bears are going to be 4.5 to 5-point home underdogs. Over under is 45. We had Le'Veon Bell cut today. It sounds like Latavius Murray should be back in the backfield, so Bell's services are no longer needed. Ravens coming off one of the most embarrassing performances in recent memory on Thursday Night Football. Chicago coming off their bye, so not really a huge rest advantage. Both sides are going to be well rested. I do think this sets up for a really interesting game. The Ravens, as we touched on a lot last week, are terrible as big favorites, but honestly, this spread is moving in a really confusing direction here. This opened at about 6.5. I thought that was pretty fair. Now that it's down to 4.5, 5, we're getting kind of out of that territory where the Ravens aren't really that big of a favorite anymore. So it's kind of a different game script. And I think there's value on the Ravens the lower this gets. I'm really trying to wait out and see if I can find a Ravens -4. If I do that, I'm going to be all over the Ravens here. I think this spread is going in the wrong direction. I think it's actually kind of crazy if this closes at 4 or 4.5.
Yeah, I think you're right in waiting. I think if more money's coming in, I think you're going to see it come in on the Bears probably on like Thursday, Friday. So I think you might end up getting a 4. If you get a 3.5, even better. I don't know what to do with this Ravens team. They've just been taking me on a roller coaster the entire season. They look so good. They look awful. They bounce back. They run the ball great this game, and then they come from behind throwing. It's like they're all over the place. And this defense is just, it seems every game this defense just has breakdowns of letting up big plays to, last week, I don't even remember who was on the Dolphins. So
Albert Wilson.
Yeah, Albert Wilson.
The biggest play of the game. He's wide open.
And Isaiah Ford, I think, was the other one. So
it's 2 of them. Yeah.
It's been happening every week. It's like, it's a close game. And then bam, the defense breaks down. Now, in this matchup, can Fields take advantage of that? I mean, we saw him throw for 300 yards against the Bucs. It was his best game. So maybe, I don't know. There's definitely downfield threats on the team. I jumped the gun on this, and I took the Ravens in a teaser early in the week. So I do like them to bounce back and win this game. I don't know how much I love laying points here on the road against the Bears coming off a bye. So I'm fine taking Ravens money line in a parlay or something, maybe a live bet, but I can't get their laying points.
And just for comparison's sake, we saw the Niners play at Chicago 3 weeks ago. They closed -4.5 in that game. I mean, you're telling me that the Ravens and the Niners are essentially dead even right now. And I completely disagree with that. I think the Ravens would be at least a field goal favorite on a neutral field against the 49ers. That's why I don't think the spread makes any sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the ebbs and flows of the market, but with how like they've both been hot and cold teams, so it's tough to make a case. If you get the Ravens in a bad spot, then the spread makes sense. If not, they could easily blow the doors off the Bears. But again, you just don't know what you're going to get. Now they've bounced back from their other losses, so they haven't lost 2 straight. But we'll see.
Props for you in this game.
Yeah, my one prop is David Montgomery over 55.5 rush yards. He returned from injury before the bye week, saw 13 carries for 63 yards. He's been over the 55 rush yards in every game this year except one. Ravens defense ranks well against running backs, but it's kind of inflated by like last week where, the Dolphins stink at running the ball. I think Tua was their leading rusher with like 5 rushing yards. And then there was a game earlier in the season when they were blowing out the Chargers and Herbert was the leading rusher with 15 yards. But, we've seen Dalvin Cook, 17 carries, 110 yards, Mixon had 60 yards. Jonathan Taylor was mid 50s. Melvin Gordon was over this number. So Montgomery should be back to his normal workload, 15 plus carries, should be healthy. So this number is just way too low in my opinion. So yeah, Montgomery over 55.5. And I got it, I think -120. It's already at -130. So it's only going up.
Yeah, love that too. I also saw his rushing plus receiving yards is like 76.5. He's normally around 15 to 20 receiving yards. So if you don't want to lay -130, I thought that was also another good option. It also saves you in case they're down big. I like 2 props on the Ravens. We don't have official numbers yet, but I'm definitely going to be going right back to Lamar over passing yards and Hollywood Brown over receiving yards. Hollywood leads this team in targets. He was pretty brutal last week. I think this is a great bounce back spot going up against the Bears defense that is dead last against opposing wide receiver ones. And the Bears also ranked 29th in the NFL at defending the deep pass. So I think you could definitely see Hollywood Brown take one to the house. So I'm going to be looking at his overs in the low 60s. And then if we get Lamar passing yards somewhere in the mid 230s range, I think that's also a really good spot for props here as well. All right, let's move on to our next game here. Let's go Texans and Titans. Battle for the AFC South. This Titans team is on a roll right now. They're going to be 10-point home favorites in this game. Over under is 44.5. The Texans are coming off their bye. I was kind of looking for an opportunity to fade the Titans here. I just don't know if this is the spot. Tyrod Taylor looked atrocious the last time we saw him against the Miami Dolphins. I would never lay 10 points here with over 10 points here with the Titans. I think maybe if you want to try and fade them, you could look at like a first half spread. I was thinking maybe like Texans +6.5 in the first half, +3.5 in the first quarter, something like that, just in case the Titans pull away late. But it's not my favorite bet of the week. Did you have anything you liked here?
Love the Texans here.
Really? Okay, you're more confident than I am.
Over 10 points. Look, I made my feelings known to you about how I feel about this Titans team. We both bet their preseason, to make the playoffs, win the division, win total over. This is the most fraudulent team over the last month or so. Let me just give a brief recap of their last 3 games. Ryan Tannehill throws an interception against the Colts. Tyquan Lewis blows out his knee on the return, fumbles the ball back to the Titans, and gives them the ball on a first down. They end up scoring. Wentz throws a left-handed interception, pick 6, and then forces into double coverage in overtime. Titans win in overtime by a field goal. Game after that, Stafford throws a pick 6 in the end zone. As he's falling down, he chucks it up. Might as well have thrown it with his left hand too. There's another pick 6 after that. Titans win with 194 total yards, averaging 3.5 yards per play. Last week, Tannehill throws an interception in the end zone before half, gets called back because of a 2-hand touch roughing the passer call. Absolutely atrocious. end up scoring. Saints miss an extra point later in the game, which forces them to go for 2 late. They don't get it. Titans win with 213 total yards, 4.5 yards per play. Saints also fumbled the opening second half kickoff in that game, which led to a Titans touchdown. This needs to stop. This team is fraudulent. This defense is fraudulent.
You don't think that's all sustainable?
No, no, I do not. This offense has not performed since Henry left. The defense has been bailed out. I'm just selling this team. Tyrod had a bad game coming off his injury after numerous weeks. He's off a bye now. He's a week healthier. Give me the Texans all day here, plus 10.5.
Wow, that is a really strong case. But how do you feel about just going Titans team total under 27.5? Like, if we think their offense has been fraudulent, not gaining yards, would you look at that, or you just like the Texans spread the best?
No, I like the Texans spread because the Texans defense still sucks. Like the Titans offense hasn't been performing, but you don't need to be a fantastic offense to put up points against the Texans.
All right, that's fair. Both defenses have been decent against the pass this season and terrible against the run. So I also think that's interesting because I don't think either offense is really constructed to run the ball very effectively right now.
Deontay Foreman revenge game.
There you go. I think Jeremy McNichols just went into concussion protocol as well.
Yes,
so you might see a lot of Deontay Foreman this week. Be looking at where his props come out at. Any prop angles for you? I didn't really have much here.
Yeah, if I get Brandon Cooks in the 60s, 60 receiving yard range, I'll take that over. Same thing if I get, I think, what did we get him 2 weeks ago? 4.5 receptions. If we get that, I'll take the over on that all day. So outside of that, nothing else.
All right. Fair enough. Let's move on to our debate of the week. We have the New Orleans Saints against the Philadelphia Eagles. Spread has been bouncing around all day. We currently have Eagles -2. The over-under is 43. Sounds like Miles Sanders is going to be back for the Eagles. Alvin Kamara is going to be questionable. I'm going to be on the Philadelphia Eagles here. As you can see my flag in the background, fly Eagles fly. All right. I will make my case for the Eagles, and then you can present your rebuttal. I think this Eagles team is really starting to round into form. It only took the entire fan base screaming to run the ball at Nick Sirianni every time he went in public for him to get this through his head. I think the Saints have an incredible run defense. They're currently number 1 in the league. I think the X factor here is going to be Jalen Hurts' rushing ability. We actually saw these two teams play last year in Hurts' first start. It was a 24-21 Eagles win in week 14. Hurts had 18 carries for 106 yards in that game. Miles Sanders also went for over 100 yards. Eagles just torched them on the ground. The Saints really haven't played any super mobile quarterbacks this year to get other data points on, but they did allow 27 yards to Daniel Jones and over 40 yards to Taylor Heineke. So I think they may be susceptible to the mobile quarterback. And on the Saints side of the ball, they keep going back to Trevor Siemian, and he's just not very good. He came in mid-game against the Bucks, played fantastic. Since then, it has been straight garbage time production, and that's it. He put up 3 points in the first 3 quarters against the Falcons defense, and then lucked into 22 points in garbage time when they were in prevent defense and almost came back and won. Last week, same story, 12 points through the first 3 quarters against the Titans, another bad defense, and then they get a field goal and a touchdown late. This isn't a garbage game, a garbage time spread where you can come back and cover 7.5 at the hook. Like, it's a 2-point game. Trevor Siemian, if he sucks through 3 quarters again, the Eagles are covering the spread. Saints are also 8 of 22 on third down since Siemian came in. Give me the birds.
All right. Before I make my case, I will say if you are smart like me and taking the Saints,
yes,
you're probably better off waiting because, there's supposedly, I've heard in numerous places that there's this large professional group that has been backing the Eagles all year, coming in late with huge money on them. And you've seen it in the spreads. The Eagles they opened at minus or plus 2.5 last week and they actually closed as 1-point favorites. You saw it.
It's insane.
Yeah. You saw it against the Bucs. You saw it against the Chargers. So the spread is almost always moving in favor of the Eagles. So you could end up getting a 3 here with the Saints. So I'm going to hold out as late as I can and I'll lock in a Saints bet and put them in a couple teasers. But so the Eagles have found their form. You're right. They found it behind running the ball. And you said it. The Saints are number 1 against the run. You cannot run against this team. Number 1 in DVOA, 3.1 yards per carry. And you said they're susceptible to the mobile quarterback, Daniel Jones, Taylor Heineke. You're not really game planning for them. You're game planning for Hurts. And what Hurts has been able to do against these defenses, there's been no contain on him. Every time he rolls out, the edge is wide open. That's not going to happen against the State's defense. They're too well coached. They're too talented of a defense. This game is going to be on Hurts' arm. It's just that's how it's going to end up. And that's not what you want if you're the Eagles. We saw how that went early in the season. That's why they started off the way they did, because they weren't running the ball. You're going to have Marshawn Lattimore taking away his number one target on the outside, and Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith has been great. I don't think he's ready to put Marshawn Lattimore in his place just yet. If Alvin Kamara plays, I might end up taking like a Saints alternate spread at -5 or something, because the Eagles linebackers are one of the worst.
Just take their money line. Alternate spread.
But that's how, if Alvin Kamara plays, you can just forget about this. Bet's already won, because our linebackers are atrocious. They will be absolutely torched by Kamara if he's in the backfield. So Lord help me if he plays. A run first team against the Saints with a quarterback like Hurts who's struggling throwing the ball when he has to do it. This is just the easiest play for me in the Saints. And if we end up getting a 3 here, might be one of my larger bets of the year.
I mean, we've seen the Saints lose to run first teams this season. Like, they went up against the Panthers in week 2 and got absolutely destroyed. And all they want to do is run with Christian McCaffrey. It's not like the Saints has been like dominating every team that they played this season.
I'm not saying they're dominating. This is just probably the worst matchup for the Eagles that I could imagine. Now, I expected the Saints to open it as 1.5 point favorites, not underdogs.
No, I wish they did, because then I'd get better value on the Eagles.
Yeah, well, you better lock them in now, because you're gonna have to.
I got them at -110 on the money line. It was a straight pick 'em when I got it. It's perfect.
All right,
maybe we can both win.
Maybe,
as long as I win the debate. You also have the number 2 wide receiver in football, the New Orleans Saints, on their offense.
Yes, Pro Football Focus so generously ranking Deontay Harris as the number 2 receiver in football. So
Eagles are going to need to come up with a game plan for him.
Make sure you go pick up their subscription.
Yeah, what a great site they are. Incredible information. Any prop angles for you here? I know we were discussing maybe a Devontae Smith under. I think we said that his yards opened a little bit too low. He's currently at like 56.5. I am going to be looking at Jalen Hurts over rush yards if we get another number in the 40s. Did you have any props that you'd be looking at?
No, if Kamara is out and we get an Ingram, I think he was low 50s last week. He just missed hitting it. I would go back to that again, just because we've seen this run defense get torched, and I just don't trust the linebackers. So I would go Ingram if he's in the low 50s and Kamara's out. And obviously I would look Kamara if he's in there. But I am a little concerned with Ingram there. It seems like they might be splitting a little bit more of the workload. Yeah,
that might be dangerous if his numbers are high and he's coming back from an injury, but see where they open at. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's go Dolphins and Jets. Jets are 3.5 point home underdogs here. Over under is 44.5. We are finally done with the Mike White experience. I look forward to reminiscing on this in future podcasts. Like, hey, remember that Mike White dude?
Yeah.
Going to be Joe Flacco this week for the Jets. The Flack attack is here. The Dolphins quarterback is yet to be announced. Knowing Brian Flores, he'll probably tell us that Tua's like missing his arm, and then after Brissett throws an interception, he'll come in the first quarter, because they love to do that. I don't really know what they're doing with that team. For me in this game, I mean, I don't know if you really need to have a bet on this game. Like, we can probably just forget this exists. But if this does get to 4, I think I will just take the points with the Jets. 2 bad teams. You take the team getting points. Pretty simple philosophy. That would kind of be how I'm playing this. But it's all, I mean, this is one that you can pretty easily skip if you're not an idiot. Like,
yeah, I don't know what I'm getting with Joe Flacco. It's just, he's like, what you're getting with Joe Flacco, but you don't know what you're getting with him at this point in his career. It's just, the game's an all-around pass. You would think the Dolphins would be able to win this game, but again, who knows? This team's been a disaster all season before last week. So yeah, it's like you said, this game's not even on the slate as far as I'm concerned. I do have a couple prop leans though. I will be curious to see where Jamison Crowder's receptions.
Nah, you can't even go there. They have so many receivers now. Like, they're playing so many guys. I feel like you can't even look at him.
That
like Elijah Moore's getting more involved. Corey Davis is there. The 2 running backs. Like I don't think this is like last year where when Flacco came in, you could trust Crowder. I can't trust him anymore.
That's fair. And then I'll be looking at Michael Carter rush yards. He seems to be, an integral
spot for that.
An integral part of the offense, and this Dolphins rush defense is bottom 10 in the league. And I can't imagine they want Joe Flacco dropping back and throwing 35 plus times. So I think, if this game stays close, which you would think it would, Michael Carter should get, I wouldn't be surprised if he got 20 carries. So
I like that play a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Carter's basically getting around 13 to 15 carries every week. But I mean, this is like literally the first game script and matchup that he's had that's been good in forever. Played against Buffalo and Indianapolis, 2 of the top 3 run defenses in the league the past 2 weeks. I think that's a really good look. And you can honestly get high 40s on Carter for rush yards. I like that play a lot.
Even if he gets even against the Colts, what did he end up with? 13 carries in that game? And they were getting crushed in that game. And even in
the Colts, he went 13 for 49.
And even in the fourth quarter, when they were down by 2-3 possessions, they were still giving him a few carries here and there. So I would see 15 to 20 carries for him in this game. So, and like you said, if you get something in the 40s, I absolutely love that.
Yeah, that's a really good call. All right, let's move on to one of the games of the week. 2 teams battling for AFC playoff position. The Indianapolis Colts traveling up to Buffalo. Bills are going to be 7-point home favorites here. Over under is up to 50.5. Bills offense finally got back on track last week. Meanwhile, the Colts steamrolled the Jaguars in the first quarter and then kind of went to sleep and almost lost the game at the end. So they ended up winning, but not covering. I think this game really comes down to whether or not the Colts can establish the run game with Jonathan Taylor. Rue, how do you see this one playing out?
This line, when I saw this line open at 7, I have never thought I would see a line more far off than what I expected this far into the season. This line should be 4 at the most. Plus 7 here is unbelievable. These teams. I look at these teams not that far off from each other. 14th and 17th in offensive DVOA. Colts have arguably the best running back in the game right now, behind probably the best run blocking offensive line in the game right now. Bills are a complete one-dimensional offense with really no running game outside of Josh Allen. Colts defense, we know how good they are against the run. I think some of these passing numbers look worse than they are because of that Ravens game they played where they were basically down to their practice squad players and they were just in this easy zone coverage that Lamar was picking apart. And then the last 2 weeks, they kind of backed off. Like they got a big lead against the Jets and they really let their foot off the gas. Defense backed off and just let Josh Johnson sling it around. Last week, same thing. They got up 14-17 early and just kind of took their foot off the gas. But the Colts basically are playing for their season at every game the rest of the way. Like every game is a must win for them at this point. And they could easily be 7-3 right now with the way they've lost some of these games. There's been a few bad breaks for them. Wentz has made some dumb mistakes, outside of a broken Chiefs team at the time, Buffalo really hasn't beaten anyone. They really haven't played any great defenses. So the toughest defense they've played was week 1 against the Steelers, and they lost the game. So I don't think this team has really been that battle tested, to be honest with you. And this line to me, it's like before last week against the Jets, we're talking about how bad the Bills have looked after putting up 6 points against the Jaguars and looking terrible against Miami the week before. I cannot wrap my mind around this. I think the Colts money line is live in this game. Give me this +7 all day.
Yeah, I do think it's possible we are overrating the Bills defense a little bit. Here's what the Bills have faced the last 4 weeks. They allowed 34 points to the Tennessee Titans. This was when they had Derrick Henry, but that's a lot of points to give up. And then they played the Dolphins, Jags, and Jets, and obviously looked awesome, but it's against 3 of the worst teams in the league. There's definitely a real chance that this Bills defense is good, but not the elite unit that we perceive them to be. My only concern here is I'm really worried about Carson Wentz in this game. I feel like he has a couple plays every single game where you're like, oh, no, what are you doing? It's almost intercepted, but it's not. And I feel like we could definitely see some of those plays turn into turnovers here. It's different when you're doing that against the Texans compared to doing it against the Bills this week. That's my only concern. I'm with you. If I'm betting this, it's definitely the Colts. I just have not pulled the trigger quite yet.
And you made a great point about the Titans. They allowed 31 points to the Titans with Derrick Henry. Well,
34
or 34. What do we have here? Another great rushing offense that
very similar offense.
Push them around.
Right.
So yeah, and to the turnover point, Josh Allen, as good as he's been, he still has those moments where he makes stupid decisions and turns the ball over. So I think it goes both ways. And I again, this line is woo.
I agree. And I would not tease the Bills. They are in that teaser range. I would definitely not tease the Bills. I do agree with you. The Colts money line is live for props. I am going to be looking at Josh Allen over passing yards. I don't think the Bills are going to be able to run the ball at all. Colts have the second best run defense in the league compared to the 23rd best pass defense. We know the Bills don't have any running backs. They're not really interested in running the ball. We'll have to see where his line opens up, but I think Josh Allen over passing yards could be a play. That's probably it for me. I don't think this is a week to go back to Michael Pittman. He'll probably see a lot of Tre'Davious White. And then, if you want to go with Jonathan Taylor, you can. It's obviously a tough matchup, but maybe if you get a discount on him in like the high 60s, low 70s, he could get there on volume. What do you have?
Yeah, I was just going to say Taylor, if the books end up, somewhat factoring in the Bills' defensive statistics. If Taylor's in the low 70s, I still expect the Colts to lean on him heavily. So and we've seen his big playability. He could easily break off a 50 plus yard run at any point. So other than that, no other props.
And this game is outdoors in Buffalo. I did not see any major issues when I was looking at the weather report. Really no weather in any of the games that was super concerning outside of maybe watching on the Browns game, but that's about it. Let's go to that Browns game. Let's go Lions and Browns here. Browns are 11-point home favorites. Over under is 43.5. Like I said, keep an eye on the weather here. I heard some gloom reports early this week, but it doesn't look as bad right now. We do not have the best quarterback situation on either team here. Baker seems like his entire body is breaking down. He's still playing every week, but he's terrible. Nick Chubb should be back for the Browns, so they'll get their best running back. On the Lions side, Jared Goff is apparently dealing with an oblique injury that made it incredibly difficult for him to throw the ball last week, so they just ran it every time.
Has he had that all season?
He may have just had it all season. That's a good excuse. He should just roll with that. Tim Boyle is currently taking first team reps in practice, so he would step in if Goff is not able to go. This one's like, I don't think you could ever lay more than 10 points with the Browns. They're like the most inconsistent team in the league. Like they lose 45-7 against the Patriots. The defense couldn't stop a mediocre offense. And then the week before that, they won 41-16. It's like, what is this team? Like, I have no idea. I don't think it's a good spot for the Lions. They gave everything they had last week, trying to win that game against the Steelers, went to overtime, brutal physical game. Like I can't really make a case for either of these sides, honestly.
Yeah, I don't have a play. I would lean the Browns laying the points, though. This is just a game where the Browns should be able to rush for over 200 yards, not have to worry about Baker throwing the ball or, making mistakes. Detroit's fourth worst DVOA against the rush, 23rd adjusted line yards. And this could be one of those games where it's like, oh, there's the Browns defense. They look elite against this,
now they look great again.
Exactly. So you could have, Myles Garrett racking up a few sacks and hurting Goff's other oblique, and he won't be able to play the rest of the year. But
you have multiple obliques.
What do you mean? You have the oblique on each side.
I don't know. It seems like something you have one of.
What are you talking about?
One oblique. I don't know. It's like a heart.
Maybe he does have one oblique, and that's why he's been terrible all year. And his only good one is he tore it.
There you go. I played the under in this game. Like you said, I think we're going to see a lot of rushing attempts from both sides. Browns have a clear advantage in the trenches, so I think they're going to be running the ball game long, take some time off the clock. Both teams are bottom 5 in the league in neutral game pace, and like I said, there is a potential for weather here, so I got this at 45. I think it's okay at the current price of 43.5, but I would not go much lower than this.
Is it definite Chubb's back? He's still in COVID protocols. I know.
I never know with this stuff. I assume he's back because he was ruled out pretty early in the week last week. But I mean, look, even if he's not back, Dearness Johnson's been great with him out. Like the running game was not the problem last week.
Yeah.
Did you have a prop player or anything? I was just going to say, look at Browns running back, rush yards, rush attempts, see what they offer. That would probably be the safe look here.
Yeah, if Chubb's anywhere below 90, I would probably take the over if he plays. And honestly, same thing with Dearness Johnson if Chubb's out. because, Baker came out and said he's basically broken right now. So it's going to be all running against this Lions defense.
Yeah. All right, let's go to our next game. NFC North divisional battle, Packers and Vikings. Vikings are 2-point home underdogs. Over under is 49.5. Packers continue to pile up wins. Vikings continue to pile up one-score games, whether they win or lose. Aaron Jones is going to be out this week for the Packers. It will be all A.J. Dillon handling the Packers backfield. I think this is going to be a pretty fun game, I hope. Yeah, I was really expecting this one to be Vikings +3. I'm kind of confused now that it's going the other way. I would never play the Vikings here at under a field goal. I think you could look at teasing them like we know about this team. They play in a one-score game literally every single week, whether they win or lose. So I think if you get the Vikings up to 8, that is a smart play. I would probably lean Packers at this current number, only laying 2 points. Do you have a strong play on the side here? I was really expecting a 3 here.
So I did tease the Vikings, like you said. Okay. Outside of their win against Seattle, every game has been decided by 8 points or less. So I don't see any reason to not take them in teasers here in a divisional game and a team they're familiar with. And like you, if we do end up getting a 3 or 3.5, I will be on the Vikings. This team is just, it's the Cowboys of last year for me, honestly. There's just so much talent on this team that you just want to back them. And they just drive you crazy. Like last week I had a bet on them and they ended up winning and covering, but I know I texted you in the middle of the game and said, if I ever tell you I want to bet on this team again, just tell me I'm an idiot or something. Cause it's just such
an idiot.
Yeah. It's just such a roller coaster when you bet on them. But Green Bay's defense has stepped up. I don't know how for real it is, but
they've been good.
I'll give credit where credit's due. They have stepped up with all the injuries they've had. They are still 24th in DVOA against the rush and allowing 4.6 yards per carry. So I would expect a pretty big Dalvin Cook game here. Kind of similar to last week. I think they try and establish the run game, which will open up the passes to Jefferson and Thielen down the field. So, and look, A.J. Dillon has proven to be a really good running back, but I think Aaron Jones is still a pretty big loss for this offense, especially in the passing game out of the backfield. Minnesota struggles against the run too, so maybe you'll see a lot of A.J. Dillon here, similar approach by the Packers, but I expect this to be a pretty tightly contested game that could come down to the last possession. So I like getting points in a matchup like this.
Could also be a good live betting spot if the Vikings go up 7-0, 10-3, something like that. If you get the Packers money line at plus money live or get them over a field goal live, I think this could definitely be a good spot for that. I did see an amazing stat last week on Twitter. The Minnesota Vikings, who are 4-5 on the season, are the only team in the league that has had a lead of at least 7 points in every game this season.
Wow.
Unbelievable. You could be up in a touchdown in every single game and be under 500 right now.
Yeah, that's pretty unbelievable.
Pretty embarrassing. For props in this game, I have 3 spots I'm going to be looking at. Like you mentioned, both of these teams are run funnel defenses. They are much better at defending the pass compared to the run. So I think Dalvin Cook over rush yards will be in play. And similarly, A.J. Dillon rush yards will be in play both on the over. And then let's go Tyler Conklin over receiving yards. Only 5 targets, 3 catches for 11 yards and 2 touchdowns last week. But the previous 2 weeks went 5 for 45 and 5 for 57 on 7 targets. And the Packers' weakest spot on defense is defending the tight end. So if we get a low total on Conklin, I think he could be worth a flyer on the over receiving yardage prop.
All right. I am with you on Dalvin and A.J. Dillon. I'll be curious to see where A.J. Dillon's rush attempts open up. So I'll be looking there as well.
I'd say like 15.5, 14.5.
I would probably take the over there. 14.5. I'd probably take the over. Yeah.
Probably just rather play the yards in the 60s, but either one, basically the same bet. All right, let's go to the Carolina Panthers at home against the Washington Footballs. Panthers are going to be 3.5-point home favorites here. Over under is 43. It is Cam Newton time in Carolina. He's going to take over the starting job from PJ Walker. Footballs are now going to be without their top 2 pass rushers. Montez Sweat is still going to be out, and Chase Young is done for the season. What do you have here? Panthers -3.5. Any bets for you on the side or total with Mr. Cam Newton going up against his former coach, Ron Rivera?
So I took the Panthers at the open at 2.5. I had a feeling this was going to go over a field goal. I would not play it at 3.5. So I specifically got in here before that. This team had given up with Sam Darnold. Honestly, I think they had, and I
kind of look like that.
I think Cam has kind of rejuvenated this team both offensively and defensively. It's going to be his first game back in Carolina, going to be an emotional game. I think the crowd's going to be pumped up. McCaffrey hasn't missed a beat. Saw him come back and just, make a huge splash on this offense like you expect. And like I said last week, this defense, it's healthy. They're playing extremely well against the pass, against the run. They're third overall in DVOA. Washington, I'll give them credit for last week, but that was just more of Tampa Bay's defense was just absolutely atrocious. I mean, we'll get into that game more when we talk about the Bucs, but Washington was just 2-yard run, 2-yard run, small short pass to move the change, 3-yard run, 2-yard run, 5-yard pass to move the change.
That last drive was incredible. Yeah, it was just
unbelievable. But Panthers number 4 third down defense in terms of conversion rate, and number 3 overall in terms of DVOA on 3rd and 4th down, which is where Washington has struggled the entire season up until last week and in the red zone. You said it. Chase Young's out for the year. Montez Sweat's out, so you're missing your 2 best pass rushers, which obviously is a big loss there. And then you're losing depth on the D line. So there's just too much in favor of the Panthers here for me to pass this up. So give me the Panthers under a field goal. I wouldn't take it over a field goal though.
Yeah, I think this game presents a really interesting spot because I feel like if you're looking at numbers, if you're making numbers on this game, if you're going just based off of data, I think there's no way that the footballs wouldn't stand out as valuable here over a field goal. But if you look at kind of like the analysis of how the game could play out, the human factors of Cam being back for Carolina, them kind of being rejuvenated as a team, and maybe they use this to rally behind them, and I think they still have some talented players there. I think this one's got to be a pass for me at the current number, just because I feel like I think there's some things outside of just the pure numbers play here of going with the football. So this is going to be a pass for me. On props, I would definitely look at Christian McCaffrey over everything. We were all over him last week. I had his over rush yards, receiving yards. His touch volume is absolutely insane. The football's rush defense has been a little bit... No, the football's pass defense has been bad this year. Their rush defense has been good, but I think that might take a little bit of a hit now that they're missing their top 2 defensive ends. So I think McCaffrey over everything, and then maybe even look at a little Robbie Anderson. He is alive and well now. I feel like it would be the ultimate contrarian spot after all the unders we took to now go back over on Robbie Anderson props. He was dancing in the end zone last week.
Yeah, I don't think the books can. I don't know what line you can set for McCaffrey that's like reasonable at this point. To be honest with you, they
haven't set one all year. I think I've had his prop over every week.
I think you just got to keep going back to that. I like the Robbie Anderson contrarian play. Don't really like much on the football side, to be honest with you. And I will say, I think just from a high level perspective or overview, I think Sam Darnold has thrown his last pass as a starter in the NFL, barring him being a backup and getting a start because of injury.
I would agree. R.I.P. to Sam Darnold.
Yes, you will not be missed.
All right, some kind words there from you. All right, let's move on to the San Francisco 49ers against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Jaguars are going to be 6-point home underdogs. Over-under is going to be 45. Niners, the great bounce-back win over the LA Rams, stomped them on Monday Night Football. Jags, that frisky underdog. They were hanging around last week against the Colts. They covered again. We have some running back injuries on either side. Both James Robinson and Elijah Mitchell are currently questionable for the game. I would say Robinson is much more valuable to his team than Mitchell is. If Mitchell does miss, it's just going to slot Jeff Wilson right in there. Be good to go. Both of these defenses are very solid against the run, not so good against the pass. I think this number's pretty correct. I was expecting 6.5. 6 here is right around in line for me. I wouldn't have a play on this game. Maybe I would look at the Jaguars live if they go down 7-0, 10-0. They've been decent in comeback mode the last few weeks. So that would maybe be a way I would look at it, but this is probably just a pass for me.
Yeah, this is kind of like the Ravens game for me where I don't really want to lay the points, but I don't have a problem taking their money line. So maybe you parlay the 49ers and Ravens money line. I'd be fine with that. The 49ers, similar to the Colts, are basically playing with their backs against the wall every week. They need every win they can get at this point to stay in that wild card race. So I don't expect them to come out and lay an egg here, but somehow, like you saying the scrappy Jaguars team, it continues to, be true. But it's Trevor Lawrence is so bad, so I don't know how it happened.
I don't know how it happened last week either.
Like when I think back to these games, I'm just how I don't understand. Their defense has stepped up the last couple of weeks. Taylor ran all over them in the first quarter last week, and then they kind of clamped down. So I don't know how they do it, but they seem to be in these games. So, yeah, it's a pass for me on the spread. 49ers money line, I'd be fine with taking, though.
The prop that we are going to be playing this game is. Go ahead, fill in the blank.
What do you got? Oh, Debo?
Come on. There's a guy. No, there's a guy we're going right back to.
Oh, Dan Arnold?
Dan Arnold overs, right back to it. 20% target share again, continues to be the team's number one pass catching option. Over 60 yards in 4 of the last 5 games. This guy needs to be lined in the high 40s to low 50s, and he simply is not. I'll be over on Dan Arnold again.
At what point do we stop taking it, though? Like, the books are going to... Like I didn't play.
Lined in the high 40s.
Oh yeah,
you didn't play it last week.
I didn't because I was expecting 30s again, and I didn't love the number where it was.
I was fine with it.
I know you were.
If he keeps getting 60 yards every week, I'll keep taking the over on 43.5.
Fair enough.
Would you go back to Debo or anyone on the 49ers?
Oh my God. Last week was so frustrating. I had his over 5.5 receptions. He saw 5 targets and caught every one of them, but it was like to start.
Jimmy Garoppolo only threw like 17 passes in the game. Like
it's just so, and they ran one wide receiver screen, and unfortunately went to Brandon Ayuk. Like that's a large reason I always take the Debo receptions.
Debo was getting all the handoffs. Yeah, it was brutal.
I don't know. I mean, last week, I think I took it at like minus 135. I don't know if I do that. If I get closer to minus 110, maybe I would still take it. So, stay tuned on that.
I kind of feel like this might be a Brandon Ayuk game.
Yeah. But even when Brandon Ayuk had his game a couple weeks ago, Samuel still saw 9 targets in the game. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm not necessarily. That means that Debo's going under. I'm just saying if we get a low number on Ayuk in the mid 30s, I think this could be a week where he actually has a pretty nice game. All right, let's move on to the Bengals and the Raiders. Raiders are going to be 1-point underdogs. Over under is 49.5. Raiders obviously coming off a shellacking by the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Bengals coming off their bye, so they will be well rested heading into Las Vegas. This is a big game for both of these teams, trying to prove that they are a real contender in the AFC playoff picture. Both of them are 5-4 and in the thick of the wild card race. For me, I have 2 plays here. I played the Bengals at -1, and I played the over 49. I just think the Bengals have a little bit too much firepower on offense here. They have the superior quarterback, superior running back. We know they have so much talent at wide receiver. I think the Bengals at anything under a field goal are valuable here. I also like the over 49. The Bengals have been over 49 in their games in 3 straight. The Raiders have been over this total in 3 of their last 4. I think the Bengals are going to be around the 27 to 30 point range. So all you need from the Raiders is 20 to 23. That gets you on the over. So those are going to be my 2 plays here. Do you have any plays from yourself on this game?
So I was ready to bet the Bengals, and then I backtracked, and now I'm leaning the Raiders. I'm just kind of torn on who I think.
180.
I'm just kind of torn on who I think is the better team here, and my big thing here is this Cincinnati offensive line is just they are who we thought they were, and 29th in pass block win rate, 25th in adjusted sack rate, and Max Crosby coming off the edge could be a huge game changer. He's been one of the best pass rushers in the league, constantly getting pressure. And I do expect this to be a pretty tightly contested game. And some of these sacks that Burrow ends up taking, they could lead to turnovers. I just think there could be a game-changing play in there because the Cincinnati offensive line just has not improved. They have been better run blocking, and I know Cincinnati they don't mind leaning on the run game if they have to. Vegas is very susceptible to the run game, so maybe that could be an avenue for Cincinnati to win this game. I do think on the other side of the ball, Cincinnati has been overperforming defensively. We've kind of seen them come back down to earth over the last few matchups. They dropped out of the top 10 in DVOA down to 20th in the league. So, they're not as good as they ranked to start the season. And I think that's starting to come true. I still think the Raiders missing Ruggs is still huge. You signed Deshaun Jackson, but you go from Ruggs being on the field almost every play to Deshaun Jackson coming in for less than 50% of the snaps. And every time he's in there, he's going deep. So it's not the same as having Ruggs there the whole game. So, right now this game's a pass for me. Maybe I'll end up teetering to one side as the week goes on. But my one prop in this game, I will be looking at Joe Mixon rush yards. Like I said, if I get something in the 60s here, we know he's always going to get his carries, maybe low 70s. I would take the over as well. So
what if I told you they were 65.5?
Is that posted? Yep. I'm taking it right
They did
now.
Post this game. I don't love Mixon. He hasn't been great this year. I mean, he could get there on volume alone, but I have not been really impressed with him running the ball this year.
Well, you don't need to be impressed. You just said it. The volume. He's their guy. He's going to get his 15 to 20 carries, and he can get there.
All right, that's fair enough. I do not have any strong prop looks at this game. Wonder what Burrow's number came out at. He is at 264.5. Seems about right to me. All right, let's move on here. Let's go to the NFC West. Cardinals and Seahawks. Seahawks are going to be 2.5-point home underdogs. Over under is 48. We are awaiting the news on the Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray to hear if he is playing. Third week in a row we've been doing that. Seattle did not look good last week. I mean, really, really did not look good. Scored 0 points. Cardinals did not look much better against the Panthers. So both teams could be in for a bounce back spot. I think it's pretty hard to play this game until we get Kyler news. What do you think the number is with and without Kyler? Do you think this is I would assume this has to be some sort of a middle spot right now.
I think it's about right. I think
it has to move if Kyler's in or out. Like there's a clear difference.
So what's it at right now? Did you say
2.5 plus 2.5 for the Seahawks, which is Kyler's probably playing.
Can you really go over a field goal in this matchup though? Like if Kyler plays, this is definitely go over a field goal with him coming off an injury for a few weeks. I don't know if it goes over a field goal with him in.
I'll be on Seattle.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind taking Seattle. I would definitely, if it held at 2.5, I would tease them. I think that would be a great teaser spot.
Yeah.
There's still questions with Russ though too. He obviously came back too soon, but was it a week too soon where he had to get this one bad game out and now he's going to be okay? I don't know. So there's questions on both sides of the ball here. It's hard for me to assess this right now at this point in the week. So this is going to have to be revisited probably on, maybe even Sunday morning when we have all the news.
Yeah, I'm definitely leaning Seahawks here, but like you said, I do think we have to wait for the news. The Cardinals do have a bye week the following week. So it is possible they just go extra cautious, keep Kyler out. Also, DeAndre Hopkins is in that same boat, the questionable tag. So maybe they keep him out too. But I'm probably going to be looking at the Seahawks here. And if Kyler doesn't play, maybe you could grab the under before the line moves. I don't even know if Colt McCoy is going to play. I know he got banged up last week. It could even be Chris Streveler, the third string quarterback. So it could be a mess here. I'm willing to bet that Russell Wilson is going to look a lot better this week. I'm not as worried about him. I think he's going to bounce back with a big game this week. And I will touch on that more in my long shot of the week.
All right.
My other prop in this game, I'm definitely going to go back to a James Conner touchdown. This guy is just a touchdown machine. He has scored in just like every game I remember watching this season.
You're going to get close to minus 200 this week, though.
I thought we were going to get that last week. It was minus 135. It made no sense.
Yeah, I think it's going to – I don't know if the number will be playable this week.
Well, we'll see. I mean, look, if it's minus 160, I'm not going to play it.
Yeah.
I would say minus 145 is the last spot I would touch it.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the game of the week. This one better live up to expectations. Cowboys against the Chiefs. Chiefs are going to be 2.5-point home favorites. Over under is a sky high 56.5. The Chiefs are back, baby. Well, at least they were for 1 week. The Cowboys obviously destroyed the Falcons. They got back on track. This sets up for straight fireworks, anything you can imagine on offense here. I think this is going to be an incredibly fun game. I do not have a play on it yet. I grabbed the over 53.5 on the opener. Unfortunately, DraftKings limited to me like $70. So I got like nothing down, and then it moved to 56.5 before I could bet anything real money on it. So that's my only play for the game right now. Do you have any play on the side or total locked in here, or are you waiting for a number that you would bet?
Yeah, I'm waiting. I'll probably end up taking Dallas. It just seems like it's almost too obvious of a play here, getting points, which I don't like. But look, the Raiders, we've talked about it in the past. Everyone's been talking about this cover 2 shell defense teams have been doing to the Chiefs that they haven't been able to beat. The Raiders came out and ran cover 3. Why? I don't know. Gus Bradley's a dunce, and Patrick Mahomes has shredded cover 3 his entire career, and yet you want to come out and let him off the hook. The Cowboys are a cover 3 team, so we'll see, but you would think that they would adjust back to what's been working against this offense. You would hope. So maybe you wait to bet the game to see what defense the Cowboys come out in, honestly, because it really could make a huge difference in the game if they come out in cover 3 or come out in the cover 2. So I think you got to like Dallas from the perspective of them just having such a superior advantage running the ball. This could be just a straight drop back handed to Zeke, drop back handed to Pollard, and keep Mahomes off the field, which wouldn't be surprised if that's the game plan they're going with this week. So from that perspective, with just Dallas having a huge advantage running the ball, I think you like them with the points here. I do think there's going to be live spots betting on both sides of this game. This could very well, if it lives up to the total, could be a back and forth game where you could get better numbers live on both ends. So you might be better off whatever side you like waiting till live.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on the live betting. Honestly, if you even just like watch how the game starts, you may just be able to take whatever team goes down early. I think we love both of these teams in comeback mode. They both have the passing offense to go up against the opposition and put up points in garbage time, or if it doesn't even get to that, just to keep pace. For props, I mean, it's so weird because it's like we're expecting so many yards, so many points, but it's almost like it's so hard to even know who to target in the prop game because they're all going to be lined so high. They're all so good. I feel like maybe you could look at an Amari Cooper over receiving yards. He's been quiet for a few weeks, only 88 total yards the past 2 games. I think he's due for a blow up spot. And if you see Lamb's number, maybe 15 to 20 yards higher than Cooper, just based off recency bias, I think maybe you could take the discount on Cooper. But outside of that, it's kind of like it's hard to make a case against anybody, but it's hard to know who's actually going to get all the yards.
Yeah, I would say I'm staying away from the Cowboys receivers. Like you said, it's hard to tell. And then, like I said, I do expect a run first game plan from them here. So, I'm not going to advocate for taking a Zeke over. We keep getting burned on it. So
I told you don't do it last week.
It was in the 70s last week. I don't know where it'll be this week. If it has a 6 in front of it, I'll probably end up taking it because, that's, I don't learn from my mistakes, I guess. But I'll be staying away from the passing game just with, especially with Michael Gallup back and just another guy into the mix there. And then I think on the Chiefs side, after last week, I think you're not going to be getting those discounted prices on Kelsey and Tyreek Hill anymore like you've been getting.
Yeah. All right, let's go to Sunday Night Football. Pittsburgh Steelers against the LA Chargers. Chargers are up to 5.5-point favorites. Over under is 47. The spread has gone crazy. It opened Chargers -3.5. We have all kinds of crazy injury and COVID concerns. Big Ben, not sure if he's going to clear COVID protocols. Chase Claypool's out. Minka Fitzpatrick is now in the COVID protocols. TJ Watt is out for an indefinite period of time. He's not been ruled out for this game, but we have no idea when he's coming back. Joey Bosa on the Chargers side was then placed in the COVID protocols. I mean, it's like, I don't even know how you could ever play this game right now because we have no idea who's playing on either side. But if this line does hold, I've even seen a Steelers +6 pop up. I think that's absolutely insane. If Ben Roethlisberger plays in this game and the Steelers are anything above 4.5, I think that's absolutely insanity. And I will be on the Steelers here, the team that I have faded probably more than any team this season.
Here we are.
Here we are.
God, I can't with the Steelers team. Yes, I'm going to bet the Steelers.
You can't with the Chargers team either. It's not like we like betting them either.
This Chargers team went from, everyone talking about the Chargers as Super Bowl favorites to just falling off a cliff. There's just, even in the win against the Eagles, that was more just them taking what the Eagles gave them. They weren't overly impressive in that game. This run defense still a huge concern. Dalvin Cook's numbers he rushed for 90 plus yards, but his yards per carry wasn't great. That's just because he got 10 carries inside the 5-yard line that he couldn't get in on a few. So
yeah, because you had him to score a touchdown. So
yes,
to make you sweat 17 times.
Finally did get in to cash a parlay for me, but it took 17 times. This number is just complete. It's egregious at where it's at if Big Ben plays, even with the Watt injury and Fitzpatrick may be out. It's just if a 6 pops up at any point this week before any injury news is out, I'll take the 6 with the Steelers. But
I think you got to know who's playing quarterback. Mason Rudolph was really, really, really bad. And if it is Rudolph, I think you could honestly even see a 6.5 or a 7 by game time.
If it's Rudolph with a 7, I would still take the 7 with Rudolph.
I agree. But I wouldn't take it at 6. I would need over 7
that's fair.
If it's Rudolph. If it's Big Ben, I want 4.5. If it's Rudolph, I want 7.
Yeah, that's fair.
For props in this game, talk about Najee.
Yeah, I mean, what a joke. This line came up an hour ago before we started, and my eyes popped out of my head. The guy's line was in the 90s last week, and he rushed for over 100 yards, and now you're playing a worse rush defense. He's a lock for 20-plus carries every week, and you're giving me an 81.5. This is probably going to be one that they pull down and repost it in upper 80s or 90s. So I jumped on this right away. It makes absolutely no sense to me. So I'll live and die by this one.
Yeah, he's had at least 22 carries in every game since week 4 and has had at least 80 rushing yards in 4 of the last 5 games. I mean, this was basically my exact reaction to the Dalvin Cook number last week. Holy crap, this is way too low. Exact same thing all over again.
And it went over 90 last week. We got in the 80s and it ended up low to mid 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if you like Najee, like we like Najee, which you better like Najee, jump on it right now. This is going to close like 86.5.
Yes.
All right. Anything left to say here?
Nope.
Final game of the week, Monday Night Football. The New York Football Giants travel to Tampa Bay to take on the Buccaneers. Buccaneers are -11 home favorites. Over under is 49.5. Giants are coming off their bye. Bucks coming off a horrific performance against the Footballs. This was actually my largest bet of the week on the openers. I am all over the G-men here. I grabbed them at +12. I still like them at +11. This could be a bounce back spot for the Bucks, but I really think that the injuries here are going against them. The Giants were expecting them to get healthy. They should get Saquon, Kenny Golladay, Kadarius Toney, Sterling Shepard should all be trending towards playing. They might finally have their full complement of weapons for the first time in 9 weeks. And on the Bucs side, Richard Sherman was just placed on IR. It sounds like Vita Vea is not going to play. That's going to be a huge hit to their run defense. We know AB and Gronk are out. I think this Antonio Brown injury, I know the Bucs have good depth at wide receiver, but if you look at their numbers with and without Antonio Brown, it is a massive difference what he has done for this offense this season. The Buccaneers with AB, 5-1 record, averaging 32.5 points per game. Without Antonio Brown, a 1-2 record, averaging 4.5 points less per game on offense. I think he really just unlocks so much for Chris Godwin, for Mike Evans. Tom Brady trusts him on these third down plays. So I just think this is a great spot to catch the Giants off a bye week. They've had time to implement all these guys into their offense. And I think the Bucs are just a little bit banged up here. I think they'll come out with the win, but we know they haven't been great in prime time. I could see a 6-point win, Giants cover, Bucs win.
Yeah, I mean, that was a great breakdown. You pretty much touched on everything. It's like these last couple Bucs games, it's not. I'm not concerned about Brady in the offense yet. The Brown thing is a great point. I had those numbers written down as well. But some of these interceptions, like last week, there was the one fluke interception where it bounced off, was Godwin's foot or whatever. The other one obviously wasn't a great pass, but it's more about this Bucs defense. It's just, I touched on it earlier. The time of possession last week was the Footballs doubled the time of possession. It was 40 to 20 minutes. And if you're keeping Tom Brady off the field, that last drive, it was just like, okay, Brady's going to have 6 minutes to do so. Brady's going to have four minutes to do something. And then next thing you know, it's under a minute and a half.
And we needed him to throw one more passing touchdown. Yeah. I'm like, plenty of time to do it.
Yeah.
Next thing you look up, there's 10 seconds left. It's over.
So it's really about this defense. And like you said, the Footballs are the Giants are getting healthier. They have their weapons coming back. the Bucs have taken care of some lesser opponents. You know, they blew out the Dolphins, they blew out the Bears, they blew out the Falcons, but you know, it's a concern right now. And I don't see any reason that the Giants can hang around here and at least have the back door open. So if you're playing this, which I probably will be right there with you taking the double digits here. So I think you do want to get on this because I could see this dipping below 10 at some point as it approaches game time.
And we did see the Giants in a very similar spot. Their last game before the bye was a primetime game against the Kansas City Chiefs. They closed plus 9.5. They hung around the whole game. They were there at the end. They covered the spread, and this was without a lot of their weapons. So we've seen them in these big spread games, and we saw them against the Bucs in primetime last year. I think they covered as well. So I like them as a dog here. I have no reason that this should be over 10 in my opinion. I think 10 is the fair number here, so I will take anything over 10 with the Giants. Props in this game, do you have any looks you are looking at?
Nothing right now. I want to see where the lines are for this one. It's kind of, it's tough on both these offenses, especially with the Giants having all these guys coming back that we haven't really seen play all together too much. And then, the Bucs side, same thing. It's like all these weapons, you don't know where to go.
I think this could be a good game for Leonard Fournette. I'm going to look at his over rush yards. Buccaneers offensive line ranks top 5 in almost every run blocking metric. Giants defensive line ranks bottom 5 in almost every run stopping metric. The Giants rank 30th as a team against the run this season. The last 2 games, both losses for the Bucs. Lenny went 8 for 26 against the Saints. That's a great run defense. Only 11 for 47 against Washington. But the prior 4 games, all wins. 20 for 92, 12 for 67, 22 for 81, and 15 for 81. I'm expecting a more run-heavy approach from the Bucs here. Ronald Jones is officially done. He only played 1 snap last week, so this is going to be all Lenny. They're going to give Gio Bernard some pass down work, but I think 90% of the carries here are going to go to Leonard Fournette. And like I said, I think they're going to try and run the ball and establish it a little bit more here against the Giants than they have in previous weeks.
All right. I like it. I can back
and we typically get him in the low 60s. So I think that's, if he's like in the 70s, I'm not going to touch it. I want something in like 64.5 or lower.
Yeah, I like that. I would take that low 60 number.
All right, that will wrap up our game-by-game breakdown. Let's go to our long shots of the week. In this segment, we give our favorite bet or parlay priced at odds of plus 200 or higher. And I will kick it over to you first to give your long shot of the week.
Oh, baby. We're not going fancy. We're not going parlays. We're not going, we're going a straight up underdog money line. We are going with the Houston Texans money line.
What?
Long shot plus 340. Money line is live. Big, this Titans crap has to stop. This luck is going to run out. Tyrod's going to come out like we expected him to. Not turn the ball over 5 times. It's Texans money line.
Wow, that is shocking. I like it. Talk about bold. All right, my long shot of the week. I am going to go to Tyler Lockett. I'm going to go with the same game parlay. We do not have official numbers yet, but I'm going to say like 80 receiving yards and a touchdown. So we're going to take the alt receiving yards over and him to get in the end zone. I'm thinking this will be around plus 300. Lockett put up a very pedestrian game last week. If you look at the box score, 2 catches for 23 yards. But here's why I love this as a potential blow-up spot for Tyler Lockett against the Cardinals. First off, I'm expecting a big bounce back from Russell Wilson. Maybe he came back a week early. I think Russ is far enough into his career now. I think he knows his body well enough to know what he's doing. I'm expecting much better things from him. I think he was embarrassed last week, and I think he's too good of a quarterback to be held down 2 weeks in a row. Second, although Lockett only had 23 yards last week, he led the entire NFL with 223 air yards. So an air yard is basically how far the ball traveled in the air on your target. So he's getting targets a lot downfield. He saw 2 end zone targets. One of them he was open on. Russ just missed him. Finally, let's look back to the last 2 games when Seattle played Arizona. Lockett went 15 for 203 touchdowns and then followed up with a 9 for 67 and 1. I think this is a fantastic spot for the Seahawks offense to get back on track. Tyler Lockett's going to hit a deep bomb in this game and cash over 80 receiving yards and a tutty.
I don't like it, but
what do you not like? What's your counter argument?
My counter argument is I watched Russell Wilson play football last week.
Yeah, it happens. People have bad weeks. Did you watch Tyrod Taylor play 2 weeks ago?
No, but Wilson was clearly his thumb. Like there was errant throws. He didn't it wasn't just a bad game. It was his injury. If it was just a bad game, then fine. I'm completely with you. But I can't
he's going to be.
I can't just guarantee this guy's going to be okay after 1 week. I mean, I can't. If he is and he bounces back, great. Yeah, I love the spot. I love the breakdown of it for Lockett specifically, but I don't. It's a long shot, so it's fine. But I'm not going to be
right. I wouldn't touch Tyler Lockett's over receiving yards. I like this play
exactly.
because you're getting the plus money. You don't need to put down as much to get a good return on it. I think he's a good long shot this week. But you're right. There is obviously Russ risk built into this, so I agree with that.
Yeah. All right. So long shot, fine. But me personally, I wouldn't play like a Lockett over receiving yard prop.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's go to our favorite bets of the week. This can be side total prop, whatever we find our most value on the board. Rue, what is your favorite bet of the week for week 11?
Colts +7. I think I showed my enthusiasm for this spot. It's just this again. I just think this is one of the most outrageous lines I've ever seen this late in the season. I think their money line's live. I'll probably have something on that as well. So give me the Colts all day here.
All right. Lock you in for Colts +7 for me. I know I said coming into this show that I was really struggling betting on primetime games. So what do? I'm going to dive into that problem head first and go straight for a primetime game as my favorite bet of the week. What could possibly go wrong? Give me the Giants +11.5 against the Bucks. I think we broke this down pretty handily in our breakdown of the game 2 minutes ago. Just think it's a great spot for the Giants. They're getting healthy. The Bucks have not been the same without Antonio Brown. They're banged up. I just think this is too many points. Giants keep it close, hang around, lose in a close game. Give me them +11.5 as my favorite bet of the week.
Well, is it at 11.5 right now?
Is it 11 or 11.5?
No, it's 11. You don't get the hook. You get the 11.
Only 11? Let me see if I can find an 11.
If you can find an 11.5, you can. What's 11 though? All right, I'll give you.
All right, it is 11.
All right.
11 is the official number. All right, let's get to are we going to do a chalk donkey parlay?
I think we. I don't think you want to keep forcing it. I mean, we were just doing it for fun and stuff, but at this point, if it's not profitable, and look, I don't like it because I like some of these. We're taking all these big dogs.
Well, wait. What if we did? Because I do. Okay. What if we did the? Who was the other team? What if we did the Ravens and the Panthers?
I would rather. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I like the Panthers. I'm probably going to do Ravens and 49ers. You can do them at.
That was the other one that you mentioned.
You can do them at plus money, which I don't mind.
Yeah, so if you do Ravens and 49ers, that gets you to +105. If you do Ravens and who did I just say? The Panthers, that gets you to +125. So those are two, it's not necessarily this chalk donkey where it's -800, but I think those are two money line parlays that we find some value, and I think those could both be playable.
Yes. And just a side note, the Saints have already moved up to +2. So I think a +3 is coming for the Saints.
I agree. Yeah. No reason to rush it. I do not think. I mean, look, the difference between it, even if it does go down, but for whatever reason, the difference between +2 and +1 doesn't really mean anything. There's no reason to bet the Saints now.
No, if it goes to +2.5, I will tease it to make sure I get 8.5, and then I'll wait for the 3 to take the actual spread.
Okay. And when the Eagles win by 30, you'll lose a lot of bets. Anything left to say?
Nope.
All right. That's a wrap. Hope everyone out there has an awesome week 11. Hit us up with any questions, comments, or concerns on Twitter @BetRightPod. Give the podcast a 5-star review. Everything we do is completely free. All we ask is that you give us a nice review and tell us that you appreciate our work. Smash the like button if you're listening on YouTube. As always, the YouTube link will be put in the description of the podcast. We will also post a link to our Twitter page. From Jeff and Rue, we are the Bet Right Sports Betting Podcast, because every time you bet with us, you bet right.